One thing that I've grown fonder of the years is to do a guitar arrangement of a song, where instead of you just playing rhythm or just playing the melody, you kind of mix both together into forming an arrangement of it. I would guess Tony Emanuel is probably one of my favorite guitar players when it comes to that sort of playing. And I think in Brad Baker Demos Volume 3, you're certainly able to pick out that vibe more and more. And although I've dabbled with different riffs where I mix in chords with melodies or do some sort of double stops, I think the best example of doing that and even project that to the recording process where I actually play that arrangement instead of dividing it into different tracks is my latest release song, Ballad, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at. I remember clearly writing this song because it was around Christmas time. My brother was home from college and we were just spending time together, and he had my dad's old classical guitar, and while he was gaming and we were talking, I just grabbed that classical guitar and started jamming on it. And I don't know about you, but the classical guitar does make me play very much differently than the steel string acoustic guitar. Something about maybe the softer touch and strings. And even though I wouldn't say this song is very much classical music sounding, I think the fact that I was on the classical guitar made me feel more inspired to practice and come up with riffs that do mix melodies with chords and harmony, and getting that vibe which then inspires you to do something different. Since it was around the holidays, I did spend more time around the family than actually practicing the guitar, but every time I'd go into my brother's room, I would kind of pick the guitar up and had that idea in mind of like, yeah, those were some cool riffs, and kept recording different versions onto my phone until I suddenly realized that I actually had enough material to do a full song out of it. So in some ways, this song kind of has holiday vibes to me every time I play it. It reminds me of the holidays, so it gives me holiday vibes, but the song itself doesn't really have holiday vibes. At least, I don't think it does, but let me know if it does. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too. And perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Ballad, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank you guys so very much for all the support in these songs and videos. It really means a lot and it really means a difference. I can only thank you guys so much, but sincerely, it really means a lot. So yeah, I hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! Am I wrong, or do most guitar players worry more about soloing and doing melodies than actually playing chords? Obviously, there are some guitar players who are more into the riff part of songwriting, which in a way is a blend between playing the melodies and the harmonies, but if we don't focus too much on that part, I think that maybe because most guitar players end up starting out learning the basic chords like D, C, and G, and then sooner or later you end up learning about minor 7 chords and dominant 7 chords, and some of those other shapes out of the Cage system, maybe we associate chord playing with the more beginner part of guitar playing, or at least I did certainly from the beginning of guitar playing. I can't say I was worried too much about shredding and playing as fast as I could or learning all the techniques, but then as time went on, through more bluesy and jazzier guitar playing, and even prog guitar playing I guess, I started to dig deeper into chords and mixing these different combinations and vibes, not only with modal interchange but also focusing a little bit on voice leading. And I think the best example of that is probably my latest release song, Ballad, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. That song features some melodies and riffs, but to me when I think of that song, I think of different chord combinations. I think of it as that one song where I got to explore a bunch of different chord inversions and having melodies where those melody notes are actually the notes of the extensions of the chords rather than just always go for like, I don't know, the 3rd or the 5th or the root, which again is something that I didn't do in my first years of playing guitar or when I first started to write my own songs, but as time went on, doing a major 7 chord and having the 7th of that chord be the note of the melody and you really accentuate it through the chord inversion that you decide to play, now that's something cool. think I would probably say that I'm still a little bit more of a melody guy, but I love myself some good chords. But what about you? Would you say you're more of a chord type of player, or perhaps a more melody player? Let me know. While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week, and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably like the other ones too, and perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest released song, Ballad, and thank you again so much for all the support in these videos. I can only thank you so much, but it really makes a difference, and it really means a lot. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I'm sure you've all seen one of these. It's a guitar capo, and the main reason it exists is for you to put it on the 2nd fret and bust out that one song in parties. But jokes aside, obviously they can be very useful, but I kind of hate them. Hating might be a bit of a strong word, but hear me out. Of course that you can put the capo on some sort of fret and play some chord shapes that perhaps you couldn't play without, like a G shape. Like, for as much as you try, you can't really do that shape without a capo. You can sort of do it like an alternative way, where you don't really use the 2 pinkies down here and you bar that fret with the index finger, but like I said, you then miss one of the strings. At least you're some sort of hyper flexible person that can do all of that and still bend your pinky in order to do a bar here on the first 2 strings. But for some other chords, like if you're trying to do a C chord, the capo does help you out, but again, you could just also do a bar on the 1st fret and do like the cage system shape for the C chord. And if it doesn't sound exactly the same, it will probably sound like 90% the same. Sure, you might miss out on doing all of those open string hammer-ons and pull-offs and that sort of playing, and in that context, of course, the capo makes sense, but there are also plenty of guitar players, especially beginner guitar players, that just rely too much on the capo and never end up learning bar chords and proper chord shapes good enough, which I, as a teacher, really don't enjoy. So I kinda avoid using capos whenever I can. But when it comes to my latest released song, Ballad, which you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at, that song is a capo song. In fact, it's a capo on the 1st fret, making it a song in the key of F. And although I own a couple of capos, I don't really play with them too often, but my brother used to when he used to play some fingerstyle arrangements back in the day. I've told a story in another video of how I've written this song in his classical guitar while we were just hanging out, so if you want to hear more about it, go check out that other video. And I remember clearly just messing around with this shape for a B flat major 7 chord, and while I was playing it like that, it was sounding cool, but it didn't have any bass notes that added up to the richness of the sound. So I started to play it like this, but then I was like, what if I put the F on the bass? Playing this shape like this, with just 2 fingers, and having the F on the bass here is not exactly unplayable, but it's kind of hard. You really have to struggle and press hard on the strings. I tried to do it a semitone down so I could use open strings, but it didn't really have the same vibe. So I then had to reluctantly get the capo on and put it on the 1st fret and get that F bass in there, which also made it cool because I could keep that F or B flat, depending on the song section, just ringing on the background while I played some different chord shapes, which gave it a very cool vibe. But again, I've talked about that vibe in another video, which you can go check out. So to me, this song is eternally a capo song, and I've tried to remove the capo and play it in E and maybe like tune the guitar like a half step up, and that way I don't have to bring a capo, I just have to retune the guitar, or even use like a pitch shifter pedal and pitch the whole guitar a semitone up and not need to take a capo at all. But honestly, even though I'm sure I'll be able to do it if I practice enough, when I was recording the song, it really felt weird to not be playing those chords in the frets where I visualize them. It's such a specific song with a specific vibe in my catalog that I kinda end up visualizing everything that I play in such a specific way to this song, that the first time I tried to do it in E without the capo, it really left me confused and kind of lost. Like I would keep playing things that were either a fret too high or a fret too low. So in a pure Simpsons fashion, I thought to myself, I guess that's a problem for future Homer. I'll just learn how to play it whenever I have to actually play it live. But for recording and the videos, I'll just use the capo because it's kind of easier. And I can just take a capo everywhere I go. I actually have a smaller Dario one that's better than this. This is just a generic one that I traded with a friend of mine because this one wasn't quite working on his guitar while mine was. So it wouldn't even have to be this big. But I kind of feel like probably, well, maybe possibly actually end up learning how to play it without the capo. Do you use capos often? Is it a creative tool, or is it something that it's kind of like me and you just put in a drawer and only use it when you actually need to, like once a year, if even that often? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest released song, It Counts Ballad, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank you so very much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers. I honestly and legitimately want to know your opinion. What would you say is this song's genre of music? By the way, that was a clip out of my latest released song, It Counts Ballad, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. I've mentioned that I kind of hate to label my songs, at least when it comes to genre, because in some ways I think the most accurate way to describe my average song would be an instrumental, symphonic, progressive rock with some little bit of metal-y bits in there, and all of that wording kind of makes me feel a little bit pretentious. But those are my average songs, which again I would appreciate if you guys went to check out. But with this song, I think it's a little bit more jazzy oriented perhaps. It does have a bunch more seventh chords and extended harmony. I guess there are also some like math rocks elements to it, but it's still progressive rock clearly, and it has symphonic elements in there because it features orchestral instruments. There are still no vocals on it, so it's an instrumental song. So I guess the description of instrumental progressive symphonic rock still fits, but in some ways, don't you feel like it kind of doesn't? Very often people will leave comments being like, hey, this song reminds me of this artist or this band, and most of the times, even if I've heard the name of that artist, I probably haven't checked it out, and it has nothing to do with that artist. It's just that I'm very uncultured when it comes to different artists and different genres, and also my time management sucks, so when I get a little bit of free time I probably don't want to just keep listening to music over and over again, which I know is a little bit cursed. When I think of this song I kind of think of Pat Metheny, but I gotta be honest, I can't even think of a Pat Metheny song other than Travels, and I know Travels because of Martin Miller and Tom Quayle covering the song, which is a great song, but it definitely sounds nothing like It Counts Ballad. So I guess if you have any recommendations for Pat Metheny songs, leave them in the comment section below. But yeah, again, I would be very curious to know what genre you'd fit this in, because in some ways I guess you can just call it like math rock or prog rock, or perhaps if we want to go according to the script, we can go for the instrumental, symphonic, progressive math rock. Or wait, isn't math rock kind of progressive, so shouldn't one cancel the other out? But then it does have some like jazz soul-ish elements to it, so would it then be instrumental, symphonic, math rock, jazz? I'm confused already, and those are a lot of words. So let me know what you think, and while you're at it, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week, and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, and perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest released song, It Counts Ballad, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank you guys so very much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. And yeah, I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers. talked about how in songs you can use themes or leitmotifs to apply a little bit of storytelling to your composition. I'm a huge fan of like film scores, operas, and musicals, where you do engage a lot more deeply into this whole musical storytelling thing. You kind of hear it sometimes in concept albums, but in regular day-to-day songs, you don't exactly hear it all the time, or even if you do, it might not necessarily be within the philosophy of what it means. Which, by the way, it means that you have like this little melody or this little theme, this little motif, if you want to call it like that. In the example of a movie, maybe you associate a specific melody with a specific character. You maybe play it not only when that character is on screen, but maybe when other people reference it. And you can maybe even alter the melody slightly to make it sound a little bit sadder or happier or whatever might be the emotion that you're trying to reach, depending on the scene that you're accompanying. Now, when it comes to your regular run-of-the-mill songs, maybe a way that you can use it is how I did it in my latest release song, A Count's Ballad, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at, where I found these chords that, in contrast to some of the other chords in the song that sound a little bit more jazzy and with higher extensions in there, these ones felt a little bit more soul and bluesy oriented. Or it's just an A chord but with the 9th and the 4th. Then you go to like a G chord but with a sharp 11, a D chord with the 6th in there, then you'd resolve to the E. And again, those chords just by themselves, A, G, D, they're not really fancy chords, but with the voice leading that we're applying in here, I just thought they sounded very cool, and especially when compared to some of the more jazzier chords of the song, these ones give it a more organic and down-to-earth vibe, if you can even call it that, or give it those adjectives. But yeah, because it brings us down to E, where I think is where most of the song fits in, where technically the song is an F because it has a capo in there, but we're talking about the E shape. Every time I wanted the riff to fall back into itself and come back to E and feel a little bit more secure, I would use those chords. And like most storytelling, I might give it a specific meaning, but all these things are subjective and interpretive. They might make you feel a specific way that maybe isn't the way I intended, and in some ways, I think that's kind of cool. Do you work with themes or leitmotifs too often? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, and perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, A Count's Ballad, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank all of you guys so much for the support in these songs and videos. It really has been amazing, and it really means a lot and makes all the difference. I can only really thank you guys so much, but truthfully and sincerely, thank you very much. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I've recently released a song called A Count's Ballad, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. And along with it, there are plenty of videos about that song, not only some playthrough clips and lessons, but also sharing some stories and tips and tricks. And also in my YouTube channel, a full playthrough / music video that you can go check out. And hey, while you're at it, perhaps even leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow, and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you've been enjoying them, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. So stay tuned for all of those, and once again, I want to thank you guys so much for all the support that you've been giving on these songs and videos. It really means a lot, and it really makes a difference. With that being said, in case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, A Count's Ballad, and I can only hope to see you in another video. But until then, cheers!